Athletor Podcast. Eric Larkin, thank you so much. Why do I always like pretend like I'm surprised that the person's here? Like I set this up. I don't know. Like, oh my gosh, it's Eric Larkin. Holy shit. Oh, I knew this was coming for weeks.
Yeah.
Well, whether I did know or didn't doesn't matter. Thank you very much for taking some time out to talk to us today. Yeah. First things first, one of the things that I love to do, especially as it pertains to this sport, is I love to identify people that are doing things very differently. You guys at Valiant are doing things very differently. So for those of the people that are listening to this podcast that don't know what Valiant Prep is, does, or how it came about, can you just give an overview of exactly what y'all do?
All right. Well, we're a traditional school as far as it comes to direct instruction. We have teachers in the classroom teaching our students. So a lot of the misconceptions are we're doing homeschool and our kids are just online. That's not the case. So we have a 37,000 square foot facility, 11 classrooms, 6 offices, full-size wrestling room with 3 mats, a gym, 2 kitchens, a teacher's lounge. And we're a private school, tuition based, and we have a little over 60 students, and everyone here wrestles. So we kind of base our schedule, our calendar at the beginning of every year around big wrestling tournaments, so our kids don't miss classes. We'll, like, there's fall breaks, there's winter breaks and stuff like that, but we move them accordingly however we can to
so
best
you don't get a Thanksgiving break, you get a Super 32 break.
Correct. We have a Super 32 break.
That's kind of dope, dude. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's nice having one sport, but that also doesn't allow us to be in our state association because we only have one sport. However, this year we're trying to have 6 different ones, so we could be in the national preps. We have them locked and ready to go. We just haven't kicked it off yet. Our first day of school was this Monday, and we need to have 2 sports per season. Mm-hmm. Yep, spring, winter, fall.
So what other sports are you going to be offering?
But 2 of them are video games. It's EA Sports.
Esports, baby.
Yep. Cross country and golf.
And sounds very Arizona of you.
And yes. We've already been, last year we competed in this golf state tournament and our team took 3rd. So, and they're all wrestlers.
Really? Just hacking it up out there.
Just hacking it up. Yeah. They, one of them didn't wrestle. His brother was pretty good, but they actually transferred out. They're actually really good at golf. So
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The cool thing is we just found out that we have 3 of our own wrestlers from Valiant and who's number 1. So that's pretty cool.
Pretty dope.
Yeah, just yesterday they asked Kyler. So we have Christian Castillo, Kyler, and Carly Brooks. And then we also have one from our wrestling club that Mike Douglas runs, Lydecker. So we have 4 that train here. They're all on who's number 1. We wanted to have it here, but we just couldn't get it done. So it's in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid number there. But look, it's an awesome achievement. I love it, but I still am fixated on not just like the how to start a Valiant Prep, but what, to me, the interesting part is the why. It's like, if so many times we as a sport, and we are so guilty of this, we do what we do because it's what we've done. And that is I can remember in 2013, I remember where I was standing when I heard that we got dropped from the Olympic platform. And the backlash was so much, we're the oldest sport. Well, how could they do this? Why is that good? Why are we hanging our hat on the fact that we're the oldest sport? That's not a good thing. Like, that's not so, but that's, it's indicative of our sports kind of mentality and perspective. How do you have the foresight, wherewithal, and means to go, I don't give a shit about a state title. Like, I just don't care. Like, as an athlete, as a coach, as a dad, it's not that important to me.
Well, that's just life in general. No one likes change. No one likes breaking the norm. No one likes taking a different direction. I did it because I was coaching at a high school, and my stipulations were, hey, in a few years, I want to be part of the national preps. I want to have a national schedule. What do I need to do to get that done here? And they said, just prove yourself. And we did. In 3 years. We took second at state. We had 5 ranked in the top 20. And I went and sat down with the Catholic diocese, and they said that no Catholic diocese school in the state of Arizona will be in the national preps. They have to stay within the state association.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that happened. And then also each 2-year block, I was moving us up a division. So the school was small. So it was here in Arizona, Division 4 was the smallest. So in order for like a dual meet, we had to drive like 2-3 hours to do a dual meet, like on an outlier school out of the city. And I was like, I'm not going to do this. So I every 2-year block, I moved us up. So we went 4, 3, 2, and we were about to be 1, which is like with the sunny side and like the better teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was okay with that. And then also at that same time, I thought it would be able to be part of the national preps. The football team didn't want to be part of the a Division I, the big schools. And every sport at that time, the new rule at the school was whatever the football team and basketball team were, every sport had to be it. So we all sat around and we voted, and of course everyone followed football. And so we got moved all the way back down to Division 4. I was told no to the national preps, so I quit. I sat back for a year, and I had another job at the time, so I was able to do this kind of stuff. Like, I was able to sit back, and I wasn't trying to hustle and make money. I was just trying to figure out, how can I do this for my boys? My son's going to be a freshman. And I'm like, what if I start my own school? And I just kind of just like laughed about it. And then I started talking to people. The principal here, Eric Pollock, wrestled at Bloomsburg, coached me at Arizona State. That's what he was doing at the time. He was getting schools accredited. I didn't know that. I knew he was a principal. So I called him, hey, what do you think about starting our own school? He goes, absolutely. I'm like, what? Are you sure? He's like,
you're supposed to say no, man.
Yeah. I'm like, are we really doing this? And then I talked to Mike Douglas. We're the 3 co-founders of Valiant. And I'm like, hey, dude, what do you think about starting a school? And we had a good wrestling club, Thoroughbred, with a lot of kids. And I'm like, what if we just bring over our best kids to start this first year? And then we just put our backs against the wall and pulled the trigger and just went at it. We couldn't fail. That's how we felt. We put ourselves against the wall, and we're like, let's just fight our way out and figure this out. Because there was no model that we really looked at and followed. So we were just like, let's try it. And we're still learning every day, like what to do better. And so that's kind of how it all started. We started with 19 students. I wanted something for my boys that wasn't me dragging them along and coaching them. I knew I needed somebody else that I really trusted, and that was Angel. So I sat with Angel, got him to be the wrestling coach, and I really pulled myself out of coaching my own kids. At least for the first several years, they built their foundation. They gained trust in the coach, and then I kind of started implementing myself. I always was kind of helping. I wrestled with them a lot, but I let them do their own thing, find their own passion, their own drive, instead of me giving it to them. And I think that's why they're really successful. We had 19 students. We went to 27, 52, 60. Now we're over 60 again. Our goal is to be maybe 100 students. But
that's all you want. That's all you want. Is to
I don't want. Yeah, we can't manage anymore. The classroom sizes are great. As far as like state testing, the standardized testing, the state itself is at 20 to 30% success rate our school is 80 to 90th percentile for test scores. And then obviously, you know what we do in wrestling. I mean, we had 9 All-Americans in Fargo this year. Put 2 world team members out there. Now we have 3 wrestling for the #1 spot. So,
what was the biggest challenge that you didn't see coming starting a school like that?
Just fundraising. I knew it was going to be an issue, and that's where we need to just finding consistency with the same donors and keeping them coming back each year. There's a lot of turnover. We're on our 6th year. We always seem to find a way, but it's just that everyone, like a lot of people that have money, they have different interests, so they can go from here to here to here. So it's just trying to retain them. I didn't see that when we first started, but it happens. So just roll with the punches and figure it out.
Will Valiant always be a school focused on wrestling?
Yeah. If we get these 6 sports all rolling, we have a very good chance of being in the national preps. So then again, I mean, that's always going to be our backbone, right? Is wrestling, and that's how we bring kids in. But as these other 6 sports grow, we might have kids coming for those sports. Like golf, EA Sports. Not a lot of schools have that here in Arizona. I guess it's a big thing. I didn't know that.
Considering that you keep on calling it EA Sports, which is a brand, it's esports, but that's
esports,
okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
What's EA Sports? Am I just making that up?
Yeah. So that's like saying all soda is Coke.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay. So esports.
Right.
Got
whatever. Again, semantics, because it doesn't infiltrate our world. Yeah, but that's interesting to me, man. It's interesting because you have built a community around a community. I don't know how else to put that, right? Like wrestling in and of itself is this weird kind of community, but then now you are taking that a step further. So I asked you what was the hardest thing that you didn't see coming. What was like a benefit that you like having these kids in the classroom? They all have to wrestle. What's a benefit or a side effect that you've seen at Valiant that you totally weren't expecting at all?
I guess I didn't really think that I'd have that much of a pulse on every student here. Like our administration, we know everything about all of our students. And it's really easy to build a culture and do the right things when you're around the same kids and individuals all year long. You don't lose them for 3, 4, 5 months after the season. You don't know what they're doing. It's really easy to manage like lives and trying to push them in the right direction. I didn't really think about all that when we started, but that's why I think we're very successful on the mat as well, because we don't lose our kids for 3, 4, 5 months. We have them all year long, and we can specifically tailor certain things to each kid. We have foundations that Angel has built and implemented that we stick to, like our leg defense, squaring our hips, getting our back straight, good, just all the real strong fundamental stuff. But then we also can kind of go off and show Kyler's little slide by that he hits, or Caleb works from an underhook, Castillo's real quick on run behinds. Like we can build differently with each kid because we get to spend so much time with them. That's been very beneficial across the board, even in the classroom when our teachers and our principal are so in tune with each one of the students in the classroom. we advance them quicker. Like we have 6th graders taking 8th grade classes. We've even had 7th and 8th graders taking calculus because we test them and we put them in classes, not based on their grade, but based on their ability. So we'll do that in the wrestling room as well. We break off into smaller groups. We have certain groups working on certain things. Another group working on this. We have kids doing line drills and ladder drills for their footwork. It's just, it makes it a lot easier. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work. It's constant, but we see growth happen at a higher rate because
sooner and at a more predictable rate. That's interesting.
And we try to start our students. We try to have our kids wrestle at later ages, like really compete. That first year cadet is probably the first year that we really push them to maybe get 40 matches. But before that, like my son is going to be in 7th grade. I think he wrestled 20 matches last year.
What's the mindset? What's the thought process behind that?
Burnout, just trying not to, which happens to a lot of wrestlers. They just get exhausted with it when they get older. We see that at the highest levels, at the lowest, at every level, you see that happening, just burnout. So we try to start them later, growing into their body, injuries. We have a kid that was 5'6" last year. He's like 6'1" now. He's like a baby giraffe. So we'll have him do different things just so he gets strong and he can control his body, and then we'll progress him. So I don't know if that's right, but that's what we do, and it seems to work.
What is I guess how much time are you spending kind of thinking about wrestling versus thinking about a school?
I think about wrestling all day, so no, I'm not kidding. I watch film and video. Angel's even crazier than me. I mean, he watches it through the middle of the night all the time. School, I don't have to really put it as far as like the business. Is that what you're asking me? Like,
yeah,
the school itself. Oh, I mean, both, they come hand in hand for me. I'm always trying to generate funds for the school, build relationships. To be honest, I feel like I have like 10 different hats that I wear. Like right now we're doing recruiting stuff for our older kids, doing the clearinghouse stuff, fundraising, wrestling practice, setting up events, setting up travel. It's just a lot. So it's just all day long. I enjoy it though. I do.
Yeah. You meant like you mentioned your one son's younger, but I don't think that the people listening to this know that you have half a dual meet team that live in your house.
Yeah, I have 5 boys. My oldest is a student at ASU. He doesn't wrestle. He does all the videos for Kyler on Instagram and stuff, and he likes doing video editing and movies and stuff, and he's going to school for business. He wants to be a CPA, but he also likes doing that kind of stuff. And then Caleb will wrestle for ASU this next year. Kyler's going through the recruiting process. We've had 4 different universities this week alone recruiting like 6 or 7 different kids. We had one here just this morning that just left. Yeah, so it's there's so much going on. But yeah, I have 5 boys, and that's why I started the school, was for them.
Yeah. Now, I love to tell people that Valiant Prep is is the most successful charter school that is revolving around wrestling in the country.
Private tuition-based school.
Fair enough. Sorry.
That's okay.
Private school. Sorry. I know I have to make those distinctions and I have to be more strict with it, but I apologize. But
you're good.
Here's the thing. It's not the first. And something tells me it won't be the last. But they have not been as successful. And using that as a very broad term.
Okay.
Where do you think other places that are tuition-based private schools have gone, tuition-based private schools that have revolved around wrestling, where do you think they have gone wrong in the past?
Not doing direct instruction, doing their classes online. That's frowned upon. So that's why we went the direct instruction route and picked up teachers to actually teach the individuals. I think that's where we made the difference. Unless I'm missing something, I don't know of anyone that has done that. I mean, all of our classes besides science and some electives are all done in classroom with the teacher. So the kids feel, I mean, they get to ask questions and actually talk to someone instead of just doing it on the computer and teaching themselves. I think that's the difference. And I think the other reason, I mean, there's a lot of people that have reached out that want to start a school like this. I've had so many different big names of clubs come in and sit in this office, and we've talked through it. It's just, well, just doing it. It's scary as hell to do it. We did it. I mean, other places can do it. They just got to do it. And that's what they come in here and they ask all these questions. They want to get going on it. And I'm like, you just got to do it. Just put yourself, just pull the trigger and go.
Yeah, that's always going to be the hurdle. Sure. I mean, you'll find out who's for real about it quickly, because they'll do it or they won't.
Yeah.
But I guess what I saw, dude, I heard some horror stories about some of these other schools that were popping up around the country, and it sounds like the inmates running the asylum. How do you avoid that? Because we don't know. Look, man, like, that's a real thing. Now, number one, kids don't stay on premises, right? Like, so you don't have dorm rooms.
We'll never do that. I've heard too many horror stories, like you just said.
Right.
That just changes the game, and we wouldn't have made it 6 years. It just, hearing the stories, what's happening in other places, you can't do that. We'd have to have security guard. It's just, the liability is just ridiculous. We've had so many people that want us to do dorms and housing, and we're not doing that. It's not happening. If someone wants to come here, from another state, they need to move in with their family or live with another family that they trust. But we're not doing housing. No way.
That seems to be a recipe. Like, cause like I mean, it's not new, right? Like, I mean, I can think of 3 public high schools in the state of New Jersey that were shipping in kids from different areas of the state, different states, and stuff like that. But it always winds up going real wrong, dude.
Yeah.
It always winds up going real wrong. Why do you think that is? Now, number one, it's just kids, right? They're just kids being kids. That's number one. But why do you think that so many people can overlook the fact that it's a history of poor track record of it working out and go, no, my kid will be fine?
I would think that parents are just willing to do whatever they can to get their whatever sport it may be around like accredited, proven programs, and they're willing to do whatever they can to get them there, and they'll overlook all the debauchery or whatever you want to call it, just to get them there and say, that's not going to be my kid. But it always is, right? I mean,
almost always.
You just, you're willing to do whatever for your kid. I guess if I'm just thinking about it for myself, I don't want my kids going anywhere. I want them all to go to ASU, but they're not going to, right? I want to keep them with me, but parents are willing to send their kids out when they're young and they're still developing, to ship them out, go to Blair, go to Wyoming Sim, when they still don't have a full structure of how they're supposed to live from their parents. And it's easy to get caught up and do the wrong things. So I think that's just, they look at what the success they're having. I want my kid to be the best at this, and they're willing to overlook all that other stuff. And I'm not willing to do that.
Is there a end date that you're thinking about with Valiant, or is this something where you're hoping that the school will live on past yourself?
Yeah, definitely live on past myself. That's our whole objective, is to pay off this building completely in a short period, and then we want to get this school endowed. So once that happens, then I'm gonna be done. My youngest is in 7th grade. It'd be nice to have it done when he's a senior, but I don't know if I can do that. That's my goal.
You're talking a lot about your sons. It's tricky, like being dad in this sport. It's trickier being dad and coach in this sport. And it's even more tricky to be dad, coach, and also be Eric Larkin, who did win a couple national titles and did put yourselves on some teams and stuff like that. How do you mitigate those three things, right? Because there was you as an athlete, right? And
yeah,
it has to influence the other two things in some capacity.
Yeah, it does, definitely. To be honest, I try not to think about all that. But there are times I do. Yeah, man, that's a hard question. I really try not to think about all that, because then I start getting anxiety, I think, from that. But I have so many good people around me, and my kids are around good people that I put a lot of trust in them. And that makes my life easier. My wife is phenomenal. I mean, she had 5 of my boys, and she's a great mom. She runs her own company herself. So just being around good people and putting trust in them, and that makes it easier. And I don't have to think about all that other stuff, I guess.
How do you find a support system that you can vet and know that you can put your trust in them?
You get lucky, I think.
You're too much, man. You created this. You're look.
What?
Here's the thing. I appreciate the modesty, but there's no chance involved, right? Like you actively went and got Angel. You actively, like Mike. By the way, a lot of people know Angel. Nobody, maybe they do in Arizona, but the rest of the country, that guy Mike is aces, dude. Like,
oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, and he's
like, you did all this, dude.
Yeah, I know. I just, when I met these guys, I knew the kind of people they were, and I just went after them, and they believed in me, and it just worked out. Yeah, Mike Douglas is phenomenal. He does everything. He's doing a lot of work right now across the hall for me. The principal is awesome. Our teachers have been with us since day one. The principal has worked with every one of these teachers over the past 20 years, and he just brought them all along. They all took pay cuts year one. They didn't have benefits. They dropped their benefits because they believed in what we were doing. So we just found people that believed in our goals, and they saw our passion, and we just kept building from there. And yeah, I guess that's really it. Just going out, finding people that I trust, and bringing them aboard, and it's working out.
What was that vision you were selling year one?
The vision was that we would put them in a position where they would go to college on full ride scholarships. That was kind of what we sold, and pretty much every student that's graduated from here has went on some sort of academic athletic aid full scholarship. We have D1 kids, NAIA kids, D2 kids. We haven't seen anyone to D3 yet, but everyone, I mean, this is our 6th school year, and everyone's went on to college and is doing something.
Is that the same vision you were selling to the teachers and administrators as well?
Correct. And we told them that they're not going to be dealing with kids that aren't like-minded and driven. They all have goals, as well as the parents. So they're not going to have problems in the classroom, because we can lock that down quick because we have a pulse on the school. So it's easy.
Oh, is that what you're calling it? You're calling it a pulse? You put
Yeah.
your hands on these kids.
Exactly.
You're not just taking a pulse of these kids. No.
It's really easy to get kids in line in wrestling when you're in the wrestling room every day. So our teachers have no issues with the kids. It's simple. So the teachers bought in pretty quickly.
Well, that actually is kind of cool, right? Because we talk about wrestlers getting burned out. Teachers get burned out, dude. Teachers get burned out. Like, some of these teachers are so jaded. Like, my sister is a public school teacher, and like, she has little kids, and she loves the little ones. She goes, I go, what? Don't you want to like go up to the high school level? She's like, I would kill them. She's like, I would hate them. She goes, by the time these teachers at a high school level at a public school level, especially in Jersey, I don't know about everywhere else, but
yeah,
she's like, by the time they're 10 years in, they're stuck. They're stuck in a profession that has beaten them down, because the kids, like, half of them want to be there, half of them don't. They're the ones that don't want to be there make it exponentially more difficult for the ones that do. And these teachers, by year 10, they're stuck because they're making decent money, right? They're basically unfireable, right? Because they have tenure. So they can, short of coming in with a weapon, they're not going to get fired. So they're stuck. They're stuck in this existence that, like, is awful, and that it actually sounds like a really nice sell to a teacher. Look, you're going to have to take a pay cut first year for sure, but if you understand where we're going with this, it's really kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right?
That's kind of cool. It seems that easy. Thank God it worked out. I mean, they're all making more than they would be at any other school now, and their day ends at 12:30 if they're teaching high school, and their day ends at 1:30 if they're teaching junior high. And then they have a whole day, and we don't have school on Fridays. And all of our teachers alternate tutoring days on Fridays, or there might be 2 teachers sometimes. So their schedule is shorter, they get paid more, and class is easy because they're goal-driven students. There's no one here that doesn't want to be here. Everyone wants to be here. They want to be successful in the classroom. They want to be successful on the mat. So everyone is like-minded. The kids get on each other if someone doesn't do well on a test. Like, what did you do? They will literally talk crap to the kid about not doing well on a test. So it makes everyone better. It's a pretty cool culture. If you were like to just spend time in the classrooms and the kids get excited about, I got an A, I did well on this assignment. It's not like a public school where I remember being at public school, oh, you're a nerd for getting all A's. I remember that at Sunnyside. You're a nerd if you're getting all A's, and I just kept plugging away and doing what I did. But a lot of kids got sucked into that at that high school. So I didn't want that here, and we talked about that year 1, and then once just everyone kind of bought in, those initial 19 students, it just carried over, and the culture was built.
All right. So then you mentioned having college coaches in the room.
Yeah.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. I'm going to say I'm a college coach. I look at your graduating class of 10, let's call it. 12?
We'll have 11 this year.
So I was way
11.
off.
Yep. You're right on.
Yeah. How is it possible that they all have 3 5s or better? So you guys you're just giving them A's so that they get into college. Now, when they get into college, they're going to be my problem. What would you say to that guy? Now, they'll never be that blunt and obtuse about it.
Correct.
But they will insinuate the same thing, because that's what they mean when they talk to you, right? Like, I mean, let's be honest about it.
Yeah. They've to be honest, I've never had that question. We haven't had all of our kids that have went on. We have one that's going to be a senior. He wrestles at University of Cumberland. He's a 3-time All-American for NAIA. Bryce Nickel. He struggled here in school. I don't mean struggle, like not bad, but he didn't have 4.0, 3.5. I think he graduated like a 3.2. He had no issues when he got there. School is easy for him. We had another student that wrestles for I'm drawing a blank. It's what's his name? It's a school out Midwest. He wrestled at Oklahoma State, D1 school. Gosh, why am I drawing a blank on it? Not Wyoming. What's a D1 school out there? That area.
Air Force, Northern Colorado.
We have Benji there. He's actually home for the summer. He's at Northern Colorado. He's not having any issues. I think he struggled a little bit his first year, but he got a hang of it. Tanner Mendoza. I can't think. Arkansas. Is it?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Arkansas.
Yeah, he struggled. And we got him back on track. He left a public school where he was not doing well in the classroom. And then he got into a smaller class, and we just pushed him, and he's had no issues with school. I think that's kind of what you're asking me. Like, our students.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
it is. It is because
yeah, they're not having any issues in college. They're all successful. They're doing well. My oldest boy has a 4.0 at ASU. I know it's not hard to have a 4.0 at ASU, but he's taking hard classes and he has a 4.0. He had it here too. So they develop a good work ethic here. You can't hide in the classroom with 35 students. You can't go unnoticed, right? So you're always having to be in the conversation and participate in class here. So when they transition to big classes, I think it's easier for them because they're already used to participating in class. At school's easier for them. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't really know how everyone does in those bigger classes that's left here, but I do know everyone's still in school, not failing.
that's the goal, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's the goal.
So yeah, put them in school on a scholarship and then have them graduate. That's the goal
That's the goal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. Joel, what else?
I'm guessing that most of the kids that come to Valiant have pretty high expectations for themselves. What does the process look like for matching some of these kids with schools that may not be a Division I school?
Yeah, we do that. Absolutely. We know the kids that are going D1, and then we have honest conversations with our students. Like, hey, these are the schools you need to be looking at. Pick 5. This is where we see you right now. But then again, we also offer that gray shirt, which we've done with several students. That we say, hey, if you're with us for one more year and you really want to go D1, we will try to get you there, and maybe there'll be an option for you after you gray shirt. And we've done that with several students. One of them was Daniel Wanawato. There was 3 brothers. One went to UNC, Derek Wanawato. Davion went to D1. He went to Southern Illinois. He's their starter at 125. And then Daniel, they're all small kids. So their issue was just getting them bigger to put size on. And that's what we did with Daniel. And then he just signed with South Dakota with Damian Hahn. So they all went Division I, these 3 brothers from Eloy. And that's a whole nother story. That whole group, they're all first generation college students, and it's because their leaders, Emilio Seguiri, the father, and Rogelio Chavez and Izzy Ibarra, they believed in what we were doing, and they knew they did something different. So they had the opportunity to go to university, go to college, and change that, just change their whole family and where the direction that they were headed. They came to us, and every single one of them was going D1. The heavyweight went to a JUCO, but I think everyone else went to a D1 university.
That's pretty incredible. Like, so, I know you are not the best at tooting your own horn, but you got to know that you're making a pretty big impact on a pretty sizable amount of the community, right? Because that's what it is for me. Like, it's what you're doing is it would be impressive if you did it for one kid for 1 year, but to have you're making an impact on an entire community. Like watermelon farming out in Eloy, like that's you want to talk about teachers being stuck in a cycle that they don't love to be in. It sounds very similar with the watermelon farming. Like, it's pretty crazy.
And we sat down with them year one, and we showed them what we were doing, but we weren't proven yet, so it was hard for them to jump on board. And it's a big sacrifice what they did. I mean, their whole community was upset with them. Like, they didn't like what they were doing, because they were pulling their best kids out of their community to go do something different. So they had a lot of hate towards them. So they sacrificed a lot, not just that, but the drive every day to and from the school.
How long is that?
It's an hour, 20-minute drive to school every day and home. Mm-hmm. And they have to get up really early to get to school at 7:30, so they all can get in one van. Most of them are all in one van, and they drive here every day. They've been pretty good this year. They've been on time every day, 7:15. Sometimes they get stuck in the traffic on the 10. They're a little late, but they sacrifice so much, that whole group, and all the success they're having, and then the Eloy video on Flow, and they still represent Eloy. The community is starting to come around and support them more, because they're still repping Eloy boys, right? So the community see the success they're having, and they understand what the whole group is trying to do. They're not bashing Eloy. They're still repping it, and they will. They just want better lives.
It seems like so much of the value of Valiant is being able to kind of tailor the curriculum, make special exceptions, things like that, to really get the best experience for each individual at the school. Do you look at there being a cap on the amount of kids that you can serve?
Yeah, we initially, with this building that we have, we can hold 350 students. We don't want to do that. We'd have to have like 5 different wrestling practices. So we'd be here all day. That's not what we want. 100 kids is what we can manage. We can have 3 mats upstairs. We have a basketball court. We can put 4 mats down there. We could run like 3-4 different practices if we want.
Not start a basketball team. Just put mats down on it.
There's not. Yeah, I'm not going to start a basketball team. No, it's funny. Every year we talk about adding different sports, but we're wrestlers. It's like we just want to wrestle. That's what we know how to do. But yeah, 100 is kind of where we want to cap it. We were thinking 150, but then when we get in the room and there's 75, that's where we actually have 2 different practices now. We have a middle school practice and a high school practice, and kind of like overlap them. So we get an hour just with the high school group, and the junior high group comes in, and then we're able to work with both groups at the same time. And then we have a whole hour to just the junior high. And that seemed to work very well last year. If we do get to 100, we're going to have to hire some more coaches and run 3-4 practices, just so we know we're getting the kids are getting individual attention.
All right. What else, Joel Shaw? Anything else before we cut Mr. Larkin here?
Magic wand?
Magic wand question. All right.
What do you got?
All right. So you have a magic wand. You could change one thing about the sport of wrestling. What would it be?
Ooh. Man. Weight cutting, dehydration.
Really?
I mean, if you gave me a little more time, I could think of something pretty cool, but that just right off the top of my head, I think weight cutting. I think
how do you like, so what does that look like? Like, we can't just have everyone agree. Don't cut weight anymore.
Well, you gave me a magic wand, right? So
right. That's true.
Everyone buying into nutrition, eating healthy, doing the right things all day long, as far as your caloric intake, strength and conditioning, drinking 1 gallon, 2 gallons of water. If everyone was doing that, and then you just put them on a scale, yes, but that's not the case. That's impossible, right?
No, I don't know that it's impossible. Do you not think that mat side weigh-ins would work?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I guess if they did that, because then, yeah, you're not going to be dehydrated. That's for sure. You're going to be dead.
Behoove you? No.
You'd be dead in 2 minutes. Mat side weigh-ins would be awesome. Yeah, I'm on board with that. That'd be a good one. What have you guys said to that one? What's the best one to you?
The magical. The best. Like, so we've had some interesting ones. It's almost the general consensus is just go to freestyle. That's like,
okay.
That's like the big one, right? But then we've had like really like kind of in the weeds type of minutia, like Kevin Ward. I don't even know if it was on this podcast, but Kevin Ward said, why are we still doing ankle bands? Like, can't we figure out who's red, who's green? Like, this is dumb. Like, you know, something as silly.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, why are
true.
We have no other way of figuring this out. Like, we have to put little piece of plastic around people's ankles. It's dumb. Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that one.
I do too. I thought Kevin Ward was like brilliant when he said that.
That's great.
You know. All right then, Larkin.
All right.
I will be in touch with you soon, but thank you so much for coming on and sharing.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I had fun.
Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, Eric, how can everyone find you?
I don't know. Just get on the internet.
See, that's the best part of this podcast. The best part of this podcast is the fact that you guys suck so bad at self-promotion that we actually just we shine a light on all the people that suck really bad at self-promotion. So yeah, you're one of them.
Website's Valiant College Wrestling or ValiantCollegePrep.com. I don't know. I'm bad at this stuff. You want me to
I'll just put
what our website is?
No, I'll put the link in the bio. Just don't worry about it. You are the best. I appreciate you.
All right. I'll see you guys.
All right, Larkin. Later, bud.
Later.